Hello everyone. Welcome to Prentice's Rule, an avenue for discussion, knowledge, and fellowship with focus on your eyes, the face that surrounds them, and the humanity behind your spectacles. While I am an eye care professional on the path to better understanding, I am not a medical professional, and as such, please seek the advice of a medical professional if needed. So, what is Prentice's Rule, and why did I pick it for the name of all of this? It's a mathematical equation used to represent the amount of prism correction in a lens or lenses, either intentionally for verification purposes or unintentionally. And that gives induced unwanted prism. So what is prism versus what is a prism? Prism is, technically, with regard to geometry, a solid geometric figure whose two end faces are similar, equal, and parallel rectilinear figures, and whose sides are parallelograms. With regard to optics, it's a glass or other transparent object in prism form, especially one that is triangular with refracting surfaces at an acute angle with each other, and that separates white light into a spectrum of colors. With regard to music, it's either a Japanese jazz fusion band formed in 1975 or a Canadian rock band formed in 1977. With regard to comics, Prism is a character first introduced in X Factor Volume 1, Number 10, or Prism Comics is an entity that supports LGBTQIA creators and their audience, which leads us back to prism correction. Some folks, when their eyesight is not corrected, see double to varying degrees and as a result of many different factors, some of which happen all at once. Prism correction in a spectacle lens can focus the eyes to bring in singularity of image. From our friends at Wikipedia, a lens which includes some amount of prism correction will displace the viewed image horizontally, vertically, or a combination of both directions. That correction is measured in diopters. Now, this is a term that we'll discuss further at a later point, but for now, when your eye doctor writes a prescription with prism, it's represented by the Greek letter delta or a triangle next to the prescribed value. So if you have, say, 2 diopters of prism, it'll be 2 with a triangle. Prism will be registered as having a particular base direction depending on the prescribing doctor's intent, base in or out, base up or down, sometimes as in and up or down, or out and up or down, etc. With regard to prism in this milieu, as well as physical prism through which you look, or that is refracting light beautifully when myriad are hanging from a lovely chandelier, the image is perceived at the apex of the prism, which, for the purpose of optics, directs the focus of the eye or eyes in their intended direction. Placing spectacle lenses, either separately or in unison, incorrectly in front of a person's eyes can induce unwanted prism, either causing them to incur a doubling of vision where there was none previously, or to give them some wicked eye strain. Again, from Wikipedia. A prism of power 1 diopter would produce 1 unit of displacement for an object held 100 units from the prism. Thus, a prism of 1 diopter would produce 1 centimeter visible displacement at 100 centimeters or 1 meter. This can be represented mathematically as P equals 110 D, where P is the amount of prism correction in prism diopters, and D is the angle of deviation of the light. Heavy stuff, man. Prentice's rule, named so after the optician Charles F. Prentice, is a formula used to determine the amount of induced prism in a lens, which leads us here. There are many fine locations, visual and hard copy, and tutorial videos that go into further depth for the training of eye care professionals, but This podcast is meant to inform the layperson about their lenses, the frames that hold that correction, and how to pick them so that they help to hide some of the thickness, and the people involved, patients included. My apologies for some of these technicalities, but knowledge is power. And the more informed we are as individuals, the better we can approach an open discussion. So that's very basically, very rudimentarily, what Prism can be registered as, how it's found. It is, as you can see, something that adds thickness to a lens. Now this is about 25 diopters of Prism. This was created by our lab where I work. And as you can see, it displaces the image. So when you have unwanted prism, as I noted, it can be quite problematic. Where there isn't prism, but it should be in place in front of somebody's eyes. I have some patients that have to drive like this if something happens to their spectacles so that they are seeing singular image. And even then, there are some cases where that alone is not enough. At any rate, there's lots more to discuss. If you have any comments, any questions, please place them below. If you like what you see, hit subscribe. Note that bell, and we'll be back for more. Thank you. I hope all is well.